Hi, my name is Peter Showmers. I'm the head basketball coach of Kuwait Sports Club, and I'm going to be talking about full court pressure defense. Let me start by thanking YL and the Arab Basketball Federation for letting me share my thoughts on this topic. And let me explain right now that the reason I'm sitting down, I'm doing this from my home office and not standing on the court, is because I had surgery in Germany on my Achilles about 4 weeks ago. So standing longer on one foot is difficult. I made a little outline of the most important points. I'm going to be touch upon the advantages of the full court pressure defense, the most important behaviors, actions on a team and individual level, and how we train it. But before I go into detail, I want to elaborate a little bit on the history and on my personal relationship with the full court pressure defense and how it impacted, how it helped me develop my coaching career and still impacts me. I coached in Germany for 7 years, in Austria for 2 years, in Romania for 2 years, in Lebanon for 1 year, in Dubai for 7 years, and in Kuwait for a cumulative of 8 years. Now I'm in my 7th consecutive season with Kuwait Sports Club. And I've been with only 2 organizations in the last 14 years. 7 in Dubai and 7 in Kuwait. Now we've won 12 out of 14 local championships. We've won between 25 and 30 plus cups. We've won 6 out of the last 8 GCC championships that I participated in, and we won 1 Arab championship. Now I'm not saying this for you to think that because I ran a full court pressure defense we had all this success. As a matter of fact, in a lot of these games we didn't run a full court pressure defense. You know, as a player and as a coach, if you're successful, you always have to be part of an ambitious organization with good management and skilled players. There's no other way. The team and the group is always more important than the individual. But I feel like without having had an identity as a coach, I would not have been as consistent in my successes as I have been. And that identity has a lot to do with the ideas I started to develop in 2007, 2008, when I coached my first year in Romania. And I came across the full court pressure defense. It wasn't like I had the idea before the season that I'm going to run full court pressure defense. No, I learned from my players and with my players, as we had an undersized team. I did have a big guy, but he was a shot blocker. He was not a scorer, he was a shot blocker. So what happened, we started bringing up the defense more and more. These guys, they were hungry, they were athletic, they wanted to fight, and they could pressure the ball. So we brought the defense up more and more, not only after free throws, initially only on free throw situations, then after layups, then after all kinds of baskets. And before you knew it, we ran 30-35 minutes of full court pressure in the games. I started to be passionate about it because it gave me the feeling that it is something that is me as a coach, and that's what I'm talking about when I mention identity. You know, identity has a lot to do with what you believe in as a coach and what your passion is. And I have already coached before that for about 11 years, but that season completely changed me and my attitude towards coaching, my love for coaching, and my beliefs, because I felt like I created something that was my own. I mention this because I think it's important for every coach to develop his own identity. It will help you to weather the ups and downs that inevitably every coach goes through with teams, with organizations. So it serves as an orientation point, as a landmark, and it always brings you back to success. If you are able to stay true to something, and as I mentioned before, it keeps you motivated, it keeps you believing, and it keeps you loving. So that was my moment, that was my season where I developed the things I really wanted to do as a basketball coach. And I cannot say I did it every season since that. There were teams where I felt like no, this is not appropriate, like the team I had in Kuwait when I came back 7 years ago. I started with the full court press. I saw that we ran into some trouble with it, and it started to be an unnecessary risk. But what I did is I took a lot of the principles, a lot of the rules, and I put it into the half-court defense. So again, it was a landmark, it was an orientation point, and it gave me the opportunity to create something that I still felt is my own, even though it wasn't a full court pressure defense. It was a half court pressure defense with very similar rules, because sometimes you just have to make these adjustments. Even if you're passionate about something, you still have to have good judgment of what is really happening and make adjustments. I put 8 advantages of playing the full court pressure defense, and the first one is probably the single most important one. Your team plays more aggressive than the other team. You want to be in attack mode. You don't want to be in defend mode. You want to be in attack mode. We want that ball. Okay, that's the attitude your players have. We want that ball. So you're a lot more proactive than reactive. You don't always want to react to what the other team does. You want to set the pace. You want to be proactive. You want the other team to react what you're doing. So I always tell my team, we want to out-physical the other team. We want to play more physical, not just with higher intensity, but also we want to play more physical than the other team. And you never know what kind of refs you have. So I always say, let's test the refs, but we want to be the ones taking the initiative when it comes to exploring the limits of how physical we can play. And if the other team starts to whine and react and they're playing that foul here, foul there, this is exactly what we want. Okay, and sometimes you don't get away with it and they call it, okay, then we know. You can always take a step down, but you don't want to start relaxed and then you see the other team has more intensity than you, and then you have to bring it up. That's tough. So we want to explore the limits. We want to be the ones taking the initiative for that. And out-physical the other team. This is very important. So yeah, we play a lot, like I said, we play a lot with our hands, with our arms, with our chests, okay? Everything within the limits of fairness, okay? I'll never encourage my players to be unfair. Everything has to be within the limits of fairness, but you gotta be more physical than the other team. The second advantage is you wear your opponent down, okay? And a lot of times it doesn't show until the second half. You play with higher intensity for a longer period of time, and all of a sudden in the second half you make a run, 8-10 points, and it can be a game decisive run. Sometimes those runs don't come until the fourth quarter, and it's not just the physical drag, the physical toll that it takes on the other team. A lot of times it's the mental toll, because the other team constantly has to pay attention not to turn the ball over. They know we're coming for the ball, okay? And a lot of times, let's say you slow a team down with the 2-2-1 press, it probably doesn't wear them out so much physically, but what it does, it mentally wears you out, okay? You constantly have to pay attention to where to pass the ball, who's open, are they here, are they there, is somebody coming to trap, is somebody not coming to trap? So the mental toll is huge. And like I said, especially in the second half, third and fourth quarter, a lot of times it pays off. The third one is you get teams out of their comfort zone. You disrupt teams' offense. That's definitely something that happens. Every team has a comfort zone. They want to play at a certain speed. Some teams love half-court execution. Some teams like to run. So you figure that out. And the full-court press can definitely disrupt teams' comfort zones because what you can do is you can always control the tempo. Okay, it depends on what you want to do with your full-court pressure. You can control the tempo. You can speed the game up. You can keep teams from getting into their half-court offenses. You force them to take a shot they don't want to take. You deny their point guard the ball so they can't organize. You come back in half-court. You deny their best scorers the ball. So all of a sudden, other guys have to carry the load, and you put the responsibility on their fourth, fifth scorer to shoulder the load, which can be tough for teams at times. Okay, so disrupting a team's offense is definitely something you can do with the full court press. Like I said, it depends on how you want to do it. Number five is you make runs, you score in bunches. Like I said, a lot of times it doesn't come until the second half. All of a sudden you make a run, and then can be a game decisive run. On the other hand, you can be down by, how many games did I have? I remember against Sagesse with hoops, we were down more than 20 points first half. So you keep pressuring. We come back, we win the game. How else are you going to come back from a 20-point deficit? You got to pressure. You got to do something different. So a lot of times it pays off. When you're down, you score in bunches, and you make runs with the full court pressure defense. You build team chemistry. That means you can play players who are offensively not very gifted, but who are very good defensive players. I had a lot of them, and you explain them their role. Hey, some of these guys, in your normal game, they wouldn't get 10 minutes or 5 minutes, and you can have them in there 20 plus minutes by giving them a role defensively. Usually they're athletic, they're smart on defense, and they're fighters, and you need those guys, and that enables you to have a larger rotation. You shouldn't rotate less than minimum of 8 guys if you go full court pressure defense. You will need 8, 9, 10 guys for your full court pressure defense. You need a wide rotation, and that gives you, or can give you, good team chemistry, because every player can contribute defensively. Now, number 7, you have clear guidelines for recruiting. If you know before the season, I want to play full court pressure defense, then you have to recruit accordingly. And from my experience, it helps a lot if your best players are at least above average defensive players. They must have some kind of above average defensive skills in terms of athleticism or intelligence, reading, because otherwise you're not going to get very far with your full court pressure defense. Your best players have to be above average defensive players, and then you can mix the rest in, because your best players are going to be on the court most of the time. The last point, number 8, last but not least, is when I had situations like that. You start the season out playing full court pressure defense, and then you notice it's a risk. It's an unnecessary risk, and let's fall back a little bit more on our half court defense and use it more selectively. And the advantage you have is the intensity, the hunger for the ball, and a lot of the principles that you use for the full court pressure defense transfer into your half court defense. So I never regretted starting the season out with full court pressure defense. It's always much easier to fall back in the half court than the other way around. If you start soft in half court and then all of a sudden you want to extend full court, it's usually tougher. Now we're going to get into more detail with the full court pressure defense. And these are the 4 most important cornerstones, behaviors on a team and individual level if you want to have a successful full court defense of possession. Matching up, ball pressure, trapping, and finishing the defense. I'm going to start with matching up. Matching up is really the single most important defensive behavior on a team, on a group level, if you want to have a successful defensive possession when you run your full court pressure. I preach that all the time because I've seen it so many times. If you do not match up well, if only one guy doesn't match up well, 2 guys is even worse. It's like letting the air out of a balloon, okay? Taking all the tension out of at least the initial phase of your full court pressure defense. And look, matching up has a lot more to do with mental strength. I'll tell you why in a minute, than with anything physical. Okay, the reason why is because you have to get to your defense before the offense gets to their offense. You got to be ready to play defense before the offense is ready to play offense. That means before the offense inbounds the ball. Usually when we full court pressure, the ball is inbounded from the baseline, and you have to be ready to play defense before that ball is inbounded to anyone. Okay, and that has, as I mentioned, a lot more to do with mental strength. Why? Because you have to shift attention immediately. No matter what happens, you have to shift attention from offense to defense. And as you know, as a coach, there's so much that gets into the way of paying proper attention for players. Okay, look, if you have time after a timeout, after a free throw, teams can organize themselves and they can talk about the next action, and they can gather their attention as a team, no problem. Okay, but most other situations afford quick thinking, and most of all, controlling your emotions. Imagine, you're on offense and you turn the ball over, the ball flies into the stands, and you have 7, 8, 9 seconds before the other team is ready to inbound the ball. Well, what do players do a lot of times with those seconds is they get upset at their teammate for not being in the right spot. The other teammate blames him for making the wrong pass. They have an argument, and they just don't get ready to play defense. Okay, this is a typical situation of not being able to control negative emotions, and therefore not being able to shift attention to full court pressure defense. A positive one would be they play an ISO here, and the guy, shoots a step back from here, and he makes a 3. And what does he do? He parties for at least 5 seconds, and this kind of thing that we see all the time nowadays. No way, not ready to play defense. Okay, so no matter what happens on the court, you have to teach your players to control their emotions and to realize that what they're supposed to do next is most important, and that means match up, get a man. Okay, and right now we're not even talking about what kind of defense you want to run. You want to run a 1-2-1-1, a 2-2-1 zone press, a man-to-man press. There's so many different ways you can choose to match up. I'm talking about the defense I've been running for the last 13, 14, 15 years. That's a 55, I call it 55. Hand in glove. I always say hand in glove. 5 guys have to match up with the other 5 guys. Initially, it's a 5-on-4 because this guy is not even in bounds yet. Okay, he's still out of bounds. So as long as he's not in bounds, it's a 5-on-4. It's a big advantage. So you can think about what you want to do with your ball man here. You can put him, you can help him sandwich, deny the point guard. If this is a good point guard, you can sandwich him, deny him the ball, let this guy catch the ball, or make it hard for this guy to catch the ball if you want a 5-second call. What you can do is you deny him the ball, you let him catch the ball, then help off him, force that guy to make the pass back to their 4-man or their 5-man, and let the 4 or 5 bring up the ball. Those are things I love seeing, because if I see a 4 and a 5-man bring up the ball, usually we have athletic, good ball defending 5s and 4s. That means high probability of either a turnover or a good chance to disrupt their half-court offense, because the big man is bringing up the ball. Okay, so I'm talking about matching up 5-on-5. What we use, let me mention that, is in order to avoid mismatches in the beginning. Even though I have to say it's much more important to me, even in the half-court defense sometimes, that everybody is matched up, has a man, is determined to play one man, and not in between. Okay, it's a lot more important that every single player has the focus on one opposing player than being perfectly matched up with my one defender on the 1, my 4 on the 4, my 2 on the 2, my 3 on the 3. No problem. I can have my point guard on the 4. Okay, I can have my 4 on the 1. I can have my 3 on the 2. I can have my 2 on the 5. No problem. This is more important to me than being in between and running around and creating big holes in the defense, which is what I mentioned before, which means you let the air out of the balloon. Okay, imagine you have You have two guys, let me make the defense green. You have two guys matched up perfectly here, X1, X2, we got X4 here, working hard to not let him get the ball in bounds, and then you have your X3 here completely lost at half court. Your X5 is running back. He might even be matched up, no problem. But you know, he allows that pass. That means all the work they do up there, up front here, is for nothing. Okay. And like I said, I'm not worried about mismatches so much. When they come up the court and we're in half court, we have a way of dealing with mismatches, and we deal with them later. However, whenever possible, of course, you want to match up the right way. That means you want to have your usually you want to have your guards in the front because you want to pressure the ball. And okay, you can have a guard on the inbounder, or you can have a big man on the inbounder, no problem. So what we use is, I call it vertical and horizontal switching. That means, let's say we're in a transition defense and we have our point guard running back, okay? He just shot the ball. Now he's a safety, okay? He sees the 5-man, runs the court, so he gets back to prevent the long pass here. So, but we want him really up front, or at least closer to the baseline, so he can pressure the ball, or he becomes an interceptor. So in that case, let's say the 5 defender is running back. Okay, he is matched up with the 3-man in this case. If there is time, okay, we call it vertical switching. This guy comes back and he bumps the point guard up. Okay, so the switching takes place in this motion, in a vertical motion. Okay, guards further up front, big man in the back. Especially if this is a big man. If that's not a big man, then this is of no concern. But we try to avoid that mismatch if possible. Okay. What a lot of teams do in order to get open is screen for each other. You know, this guy screens over here, he makes a cut. So we switch those, and we call it horizontal switching. Okay. So the horizontal switch takes place in this motion from side to side. Okay, so in order to properly match up, we use horizontal and vertical switching to avoid mismatches as much as possible, but not at all cost. As I said, and this is a very important point, matching up one-on-one and being ready to play defense before the offense is ready to play the offense is the single most important point in the beginning of the defense. If you start your defense the right way, you have a very high chance, the probability is very high that you're going to be successful as you run this possession. I'm going to start the video clips with one example of what can happen if the matchup goes terribly wrong, because we talked so much about the importance of matching up. And I'm going to show you one example of a free throw situation where we have the 2 guards rebounding, and they're in a good position here. Jakar is in the back matching up with the big man, which is fine. So I'm telling the guards, just stay where you are. They're in perfect position right now. Umran wants to run back and push Jakar up in a vertical switch, which would be fine because Jakar is the better ball defender. Alex is next to number 9, so that would be a perfect matchup. Instead, they're following specific players. Alex is late on the ball. There's no ball pressure, and for whatever reason, Umran doesn't complete the vertical switch. He just stops, and he allows the long pass, and they get the dunk. First, we're going to see clips where we have time to match up, like free throw situations, substitution situations, timeout situations. Here we do a good job. The point guard gets the ball. We jump him. He gets it back. And they only make 2 quick passes, and they end up taking a quick, difficult shot, which is what we want. Again, a free throw situation. Here we're not even matched up well, but Turkey does a great job on the ball. We switch, we jump him. Now we kind of give an open shot here, not an easy shot, but it's a bad shot at that time for the Katsia team with a quick shot. Here we're just pressing the ball without trapping or anything. Point guard is trying to beat the pressure, takes a difficult shot, hasn't even made 1 pass. Great shot for us. Plenty of time here to match up. We got our best ball defender on the ball, Briante Weber. 8-second call, turnover. Sideline inbounds. Turkey turns him. Briante sees it, comes up. They get away with it as they get the ball back for the inbounds. Here we're not matching up perfectly, but their big man has to catch it. Do a good job in denying the guards. He brings it up. Always a high probability of them turning the ball over. There's a mismatch in the low post, and not sure if that was a foul. Now we get away with it. We tell him to foul early before the shot if we're not in control of the defense. Here number 10 has to bring up the ball. Big man, we hunt after, almost have a steal. They get to the basket, but this is a very difficult shot that we can live with. Plenty of time to match up after a substitution situation. Not a great matchup. We're a little bit late, but we hunt after, and they turn the ball over because their big man doesn't get over half court fast enough. Here we have a situation where we match up well. We sandwich the front guy, and then we almost make the steal. They get the ball over half court, and from here on you just want to finish the defense. We're rotating well, and we force them to take a tough shot. Similar situation here for free throw. We match up well. We use horizontal switching to make it tougher for them to get the ball in bounds. One guy doesn't catch on, though. Their big man gets the ball. They make the pass out, but they're rushing, and we make the steal on the other side. Turn him right after half court. Turkey is in the passing lane. Good job. Augustin should be up a little bit further. So here's a few examples of full court pressure after made baskets. And as before, you will see that we can be successful in different ways. Here we come down penetrating and kicking. Hussein has an open 3-point shot. He makes it. I always tell my guys, don't run back. Stay here. Don't run back initially unless the other team starts to run. Okay, so Briante comes back slowly. It's like a soft matchup, 55 soft we call it. He plays the ball. The big man tries to set the ball screen to break the pressure, and he moves. So it's our ball. Foul. Next we score underneath the basket. Again we run back. We come back up to the ball. Jakar does a great job of turning the guy in the exact right spot. Musad is late on the rotation into the trap. And then Jakar is late on the rotation out of the trap. He should be under the basket helping.
So they get away with penetration, and they score on us because the help is not there, and we don't do a great job of rotating in and out of the trap, which is key. Next, Augustine, not an easy shot, but one-on-one. The two bigs run back. There's an opening. We speed up the game, basically. Good job of helping. We need to finish the defense. There was never a pass. Guard takes a tough shot. We manage to rebound it, and we can run. Next, Jakar scores with a medium-range shot. Yusuf flies in for the rebound, and he does a great job after he tips it in to just stay there in front and matching up. Briante does a great job. We have all three guards up, and Hamid is pressuring the ball. They get over half court, no trap. The guy dribbles the ball. He hasn't made one pass. We just need to finish this defense, and we're doing a good job here. Switching, helping and recovering, but the box out is missing, and we don't secure the defensive rebound. Next, we score off a fast break, and Yusuf, who is in the back, number 0, he makes a great read for the passing lane. He gets the steal, but we don't secure the ball. Next, Briante scores with a 3-point shot, and we don't do a great job of matching up here. Briante, he runs back, he celebrates his shot. The two big guys are running back where they could just stay up, but Turkey stays up, and he pressures the ball. Now, we scouted their point guard, and we know that under pressure he likes to pass the ball to the open man, whoever that is. So in this case, he passes it to the big man, who brings up the ball, and that enables our defenders to read the situation and to react the right way, and we get the steal here. Next, we see a couple of, and the last part of our video clips, I'm going to show you some of our drills in the initial phase of practices, and explain you a little bit about the importance of stretch and movement preparation, about building habits on defense, especially with our arms, chest and feet. And then we have a drill, we call it 3-on-3 positioning on defense, where we work on the timing for rotating in and out of traps, and then we go to the ball pressure drills, which are key. So when you play full court pressure defense, and even if you don't play full court pressure defense, if you want to play hard defense in basketball, you demand a lot physically from your players. And that means you have to have great strength training, always a good warm-up, a good stretch, and good movement preparation. We have a strength and conditioning coach, Eli Hajar from Lebanon, and he's doing a great job for us. He's in charge of the whole warm-up, where sometimes we do a walkthrough before we start to warm up. We walk through plays, and we do it really slow, and then we go into our warm-up movements, which a lot of times incorporate some of the footwork. We do full speed later. Usually we go from slower to fast, as you can see here. So when we're finished with the stretch and with the warm-up, we have a part in practice. It's like a second warm-up almost. We call it habit building. It takes anywhere from 6 to 10 minutes, and we'll put the emphasis on building good habits when it comes to using our feet, our arms and hands, and our chest defensively. This is very important because this is how you play defense. I mean, you need your feet in order to get in a good position, and then you need to use your arms and your hands the right way in order to steal balls in order to distract, in order to contain. And then a lot of times, instead of your arms, you want to use your chest, so you don't get called for fouls all the time. We're big on this. So our first drill directly after warm-up, we call it chest bump. Two guys, you see on the right side, those two guys, they don't even have a ball. Two guys stand across from each other. One passes the ball to the other. The guy with the ball penetrates, and the defender has to bump him off and make him turn with the chest, not with the arms. That's very important, because we have guys who are prone to fouling and fouling out quickly, and we gotta teach them the right habits, when to use their arms and when not to use the arms. And the chest is a great area of the body to use to turn the ball without being called for the foul. You can be creative with this drill. You can incorporate all kinds of things you want to emphasize. In our next drill, we're on 3-on-3 defense. You have to jump to the ball to be in help position, help and recover. Okay, we gamble with our help position sometimes. We go a little bit further. We stunt. We make the guy with the ball think that we're helping, and we're recovering as soon as he picks up the ball. The off-ball behavior is very important in our half-court and especially in the full-court defense. You always have to know what's going on the ball, and then at times you have to go and trap, and that timing has to be very good. So here we have a drill. He passes. The guy with the ball is supposed to dribble towards the baseline. We turn him, and the next guy comes to trap. Here, Augustin turns him. Aziz comes to trap. The other guy rotates into the passing lane. He becomes the interceptor. Okay, Adam turns him. Musa traps. Turkey intercepts. Same thing on the other side. Now Briante is messing around with the ball a little bit, because these are not live drills. Offense helps the defense. The offense has to do a certain movement. After a small break, we go into our slides, and we start with our 1-on-0 half-court slides. We call it 2 left, 2 right. In half-court, you have to be able to change direction quickly. We use our feet and our arms. So 2 choppy steps to the left, 2 choppy steps, quick drop step, 2 choppy steps to the right. One hand digs for the ball, one hand protects and distracts in the passing lane. As you see, Turkey is doing a good job here. That's the first one. Then we add a power step to close the line. The third step is a power step. Left, left, boom, long step to close the line, as we have to turn the ball handler. We have to get used to closing lines. Then we go into higher speed, as Aziz and Alex are doing here. Our karaoke steps backwards, stay in front of the ball at a higher speed, as we're playing full court defense and not half court defense anymore. You have to figure out the best footwork to keep up with the speed of the offense. And that's not 2 left, 2 right sliding. So we go with 3 guys here. We slide, turn, and sprint. We slide, and imaginary we get beat. We turn and sprint. We catch the ball handler, and then we slide again. That's what we're working on here. Right, Lenny? My son. We slide, we turn and sprint and slide. Sliding into sprinting, that's what you need when you play full court pressure on the ball, you gotta keep up with the speed of the offense, and accordingly, the footwork has to make that adjustment. We do a drill called a shadow drill, where the offense challenges the defense. Offense hard cuts left and right. Defense has to keep up and stay in front of the man, and use the footwork that we just worked on. These are halfway live drills. You can tell the offense to be more or less challenging. Like I said, for us, it's almost like a second warm-up most of the time. Sometimes we go a little bit too much through the motions, because the players, they get used to kind of like doing this in a routine type of way. But you can be creative. You can change, of course, you can change the execution of all these drills, and to make it a little bit more interesting. So from the shadow drill, we go into our live one-on-one. Ball handler has to stay in control, and he has to stay within the limits of the paint. The defender's task is to turn him as often as he can. Jakar Sampson and Abdul Rahman are the first ones to do it here, and then the video stops. Unfortunately, I was out of space. So, full court pressure defense. So what you saw is a sample of the behaviors we try to drill. We try to build habits every day. And in order to build good habits, you need repetition. That's why you have to do these things every day, as often as possible. And that is the reason we incorporate it into our practice right after warm-up. So we get used to doing this part. We try to minimize the amount of time with it, but at the end it makes a big difference. There are small things, but accumulated, they can make a huge difference. And you can be very creative in what you want to drill. There's so many bad habits that have to be changed into good habits in basketball players, that you will never run out of ideas. As I just mentioned, you've only seen a very small sample of our practice. There's so many different ways you can build your own drills for full court pressure defense, be they individual drills from the 1-on-0 to the 1-on-1, as we just saw in this sample, to 3-on-3 full court, 2-on-1 if you want to do trapping drills, 4-on-4, up to the 5-on-5. I mean, there is so much material out there. The internet is a great invention. There is so much information on the internet that if you go through it and you just pick the ones that you think could fit into what you call your own ideas, then you're definitely gonna find a lot of stuff, and that's actually the fun part of practicing. You can be so inventive with your drills. You can be so creative with your drills, and at the end, this is what makes the difference for your team's performance. The practice, the good practice, that's for sure.
We're coming to the end of this video, and I just wanted to say thank you for watching it. I hope it was inspirational and it gave you some ideas about the full court pressure defense, how it worked and how it works for me. However, as I emphasized earlier, I find it really important for if you are a coach, for the coaches who are watching, I find it really important that you create your own ideas, that you find something in basketball. And basketball is a huge field. and whatever it is, that you find something that you are passionate about. That's the most important thing, because this is going to be what sets you apart from other coaches. Now, the coaches I looked at after I was infected with the full court pressure virus, and they're a lot of them are retired by now. Some of them are big names, not all of them, and I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there. I just don't know them, but this is now 16, 17 years ago when I was infected, as I call it, with the virus. I looked a lot at Rick Pitino. I'd say maybe the father of full court pressure basketball. Even though I must say it wasn't the first time I looked at him. I saw his videos. Those are championship videos, and those coaches that I put down here, they happen to be all American coaches. And listen, I don't want to sound biased. The reason why they're American coaches is because I can buy their, and in the past I could buy their videos online through the championship production, and they have a lot of great videos. And there's a lot of great Serbian coaches. Nowadays there's coaches everywhere, in every continent. But like I said, 17 years ago, it was Rick Pitino. I watched him win the national championship with Louisville, and he coached. When he coached, and when I saw that game, and he coached that game, I was so happy for him that he won the national championship, because I felt like I can't say I felt like I coached the game, but the things he did, they were so, I could understand them so well. I would identify with him so strongly that I was so happy. I remember it was my first year in Kuwait, and it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'll never forget. It was awesome watching that game, because I just felt so one with him. Billy Donovan is one of his students. He's now an NBA coach, and he's a great example of transferring full court pressure defense rules into a half court defense. He's a defensive coach. He's a Rick Pitino guy, but in the NBA, I would say things work a little bit different. So he incorporated a lot of his full court principles into half court, and to me that's great to see. Bruce Pearl, I like him a lot. 1-3-1, 1-3-1-1 initially zone, full court pressure. Mike Anderson, all man-to-man, full court pressure. Those three guys, Rick Pitino, Billy Donovan, Mike Anderson, I would say they're all out man-to-man, full court pressure coaches. Bob Huggins, Jim Boheim, Jim Calhoun, known for their zone full court pressure defenses. And Forrest Larson is a high school coach. He's not famous or anything, but he has a video out I really liked. Very well explained, and simple. So you don't have to be a big name coach in order to run a full court pressure defense. And I'm sure by now there's so many guys out there doing it. Some do it more, some do it less. As I mentioned, it's most important that you have fun doing it, because when you have fun doing it, it means you're passionate about it, you have love for it, and as I mentioned before, that makes you different from other coaches. Again, thank you for watching my video, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write me an email. I wrote my email address on the right side of the paper here, shomerspeter@gmail.com. Take care and good luck.